Hello, y'all, and welcome to the 6th episode of 10 Years in Bed, a mental health podcast for the mentally ill by the mentally ill. My name is Allison. Some of you guys might know me as Autism Pump, and today we are going to be talking about navigating the holidays as someone who is mentally ill and autistic. I kind of wanted to give you guys like a little blueprint moment. We're first going to talk about something that came up for me today, and then we're going to talk about different mental health diagnoses, some of the things that you might experience throughout the holidays when dealing with these things, and then solutions to help solve these problems. I don't personally have a very good relationship with my family, and I've never met anybody on my dad's side. Don't know any of them at all. And for my mom's side, my mom and I are kind of like the black sheep of the family. And this kind of all came up, I guess, when I was younger. They stopped inviting us to everything. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that my mom was dating someone who was incarcerated for murder. And they were together for 8-9 years, something like that. That, amongst several other things, I guess, kind of led them to stop inviting us to family holidays and stuff. And only in the past few years, we never get invited to family holidays. If I'm being so fucking for real, I haven't been invited to Christmas since I was like a kid, and I'm almost 30 now. And navigating the holidays for me personally, not just the Christmas season, but all holidays, is very challenging as someone who is autistic, mentally ill, and sober. So all of those present their unique kind of challenges. And today I got a missed call from my uncle. My uncle is my mom's brother, just for some context. That's usually how things work. But anyway, just for some context. And my phone is always on Do Not Disturb. So I rarely ever get calls unless I happen to be on my phone when I'm getting a call. And I got a missed call from him, and she told me that he might be calling me. And let's keep in mind, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a backstory moment. So when I first got sober, I started modeling again, and I went to Toronto, which is where they live, and I had a photo shoot, and I was up since 1 a.m. I left around 7. I got there around 1 or 2. And then I started shooting at 3, and I was shooting from 3 till 8. And I was supposed to go to my aunt and uncle's house for dinner, and then I was going to go stay with a friend afterwards. And it just so happened that the photo shoot happened to be 2 blocks away from where they lived. And I had been up for a really long time, and I had been shooting in size, I think 7 heels. Keep in mind, girly pop. I got Sasquatch feet, okay? These bad boys are size 10 men's, okay? At the time, I was able to fit into... My shoe size for heels was size 10, size 11. And I was shooting in size 7, 8, 9, or size 7 or 8 heels. So it's painful. I'm tired. I have no energy. So I contact my aunt and uncle, and I'm like, listen, guys, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm really tired. I've been up, I had just gotten sober as well. So, that creates its own set of unique challenges as well, because I'm just trying to navigate things as a newly sober individual. And at that time, I was maybe 2 or 3 months sober. So I call my aunt and uncle, and they're like, listen, we've already started prepping dinner. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going then. I arrive at their place. They open the door. And I'm not going to get fully into it, but my aunt is, you know what? I'm not going to leave this as a digital footprint. Let's just say that I don't think that my aunt and I get along very well. Let's just put it kindly. She opens the door, and I hear her voice, and it immediately sets me off. I don't say anything, but I think I start crying immediately. And I was told that they hadn't even started prepping dinner. So I was like, what the fuck, dude? You guys told me, they made me feel bad. And they were like, oh, we've started dinner, this whole thing. Only to find out they hadn't even started dinner. So I heard her voice. It set me off. Let's keep in mind that I didn't realize I was autistic. But anyway, So I start crying and I'm just really overwhelmed. The BPD kind of sets in, and I'm not feeling good. So they end up dropping me off at my friend's, and the next day I get a call from my mom asking if I'm still sober. And I had a feeling this was going to happen because they witnessed me kind of having like a mental breakdown. So they sent my mom an email saying that I was anorexic, BTW. I was modeling at the time. So like my whole job was to look extremely thin. Anyways, saying that I was obviously had an eating disorder. I was anorexic. And then on top of that, they had told my mom that I relapsed, which is fucking hilarious. So anyway, I waited for a really, really, really long time. I love to send strongly worded letters. That being said, I was like, you know what? There's a time and a place for this. And I just need to fucking wait this out, bitch. And I've had people doubt me throughout my whole journey of sobriety. And it really pisses me off. So I waited for the perfect moment. About a year passes and it's their son's second wedding. We're there. It's the end of the night. They're standing here. I'm here. There's another woman here. Keep in mind, everybody's been drinking all night. I'm sober, right? And I'm eating because I'm fucking eating food. They were right, though. I did have an eating disorder. Let's be completely honest. Still do. We're in recovery, girly pop. Anyway, they say to me, this woman who's standing here says to me, she's like, hey, like, did you want a piece of cake? And I look at them. I look at her and I say, yeah, unfortunately, I don't want a piece of cake because one, I'm anorexic, so I'm not going to eat. And two, I'm not hungry from all the drugs I've been consuming. Dude, the look on their faces, priceless. Anyway, hilarious because I was the one who ended up driving them home that night. Why? Because I was sober. Anyway, that being said, I harbor a lot of resentment towards my aunt and uncle for a whole host of reasons that I'm not going to fully get into on here, but that was just a little backstory moment. So I get a missed call from my aunt and uncle today, and I look at my phone, and then I start filling with just like so much anxiety. Because at the end of the day, my mom had a call with her brother and was basically like, listen, never include us. You know, she's your only niece that has come from me, and like you're missing out on a relationship with her. And let's be real, I'm almost 30. He's been missing out with like on a relationship with me for my whole fucking life, basically. And this kind of happened last year where they finally called me and I was on the phone with them and I was nice, and I just had this urge the entire time to just go off and be like, dude, like, why are we pretending here? This is not necessary. You don't care about me. Like, it's fine. It's all good. But like, let's not do this bullshit song and dance where you're pretending to be interested in what the fuck I'm doing just so you can feel better about yourself like late at night. You know what I mean? So I got this call and I thought about it and I was like, you know what? No, I don't need to do this. I don't need to make someone feel better about how they've mistreated me throughout my entire life. So then I had a thought, and I've thought about this a long time, and I have problems navigating the holidays. So I wanted to create kind of a podcast episode that would talk a little about how to navigate the holidays as one, someone who's mentally ill, two, someone who's autistic, and three, navigating the holidays with family members, friends, but also navigating the holidays alone. So I'm going to go into a few things and we'll give some examples and we'll just kind of go through it together and see what happens. All right, so we're going to briefly touch on eating disorders. So the holidays can be hell for people with eating disorders. Why is that? Well, you're being forced to eat a certain amount or eating danger foods, so foods that are triggering to you. You can have people that are monitoring you or watching what you eat. There are certain foods that you have that throw you off track. That is one thing specifically that's been affecting me recently. And I've just been like, girl, it's the holidays. We're going to enjoy some shit. And it's been throwing me majorly off track. And I have plans actually on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Surprising. And I've just kind of taken the time to... The way that I've gone about it personally is you kind of have to think about it. And if you're kind of like in the fitness realm, you're aware of the fact that 2 weeks of changing up your eating habits is not going to affect your body completely. Like, yes, you might the scale might shift for you. Does that mean that you've put on a decent amount of fat or lost muscle mass? No, it doesn't. Like, at the end of the day, everybody's goals are a little bit different. We're talking about physique, nutrition, and there are some people that listen to this podcast that are like me, that are in the fitness realm, and some people that are listening to it that are just like not in the fitness realm at all. And everybody's goals are very, very different when it comes to eating. When it comes to navigating eating disorders throughout the holidays, I think at the end of the day, and this is something that I'm trying to kind of tell myself, the holidays are meant to be enjoyed. And like, yes, some people have very rigid nutrition and fitness goals. A lot of people that I know that are bodybuilders have very rigid fitness regimens and nutrition goals. And, you know, some people are allowing themselves to have cheat meals, cheat days. For me personally, as someone who is recovering from an eating disorder, I've been eating off track for the past few weeks, and I've kind of been going off. The scale is going up. That being said, it's all about, I think it's a lot about mindset. It's about remembering your why and knowing that you have the chance to change your life at any point in time, right? And when it comes to navigating eating disorders, all you have to do is know your limits, know your triggers, and then act accordingly. If you're going to be in a position where you want to maintain your nutrition, maintain a meal plan, like, then bring your food with you. People, like, you know, sometimes people may look at you like you're fucking crazy, but who gives a shit? This is your journey, and you're doing whatever you need to do to, like, stay on track. If you also are the type of person like me who's going to be going somewhere and you want to eat whatever the fuck you want to have a little bit of a break, then, like, allow yourself that. Treat yourself with kindness. And at the end of the day, your body is your body. You have the ability to change it whenever you choose. And allowing yourself to have a few free meals is not the end of the world. That being said, it's easier said than done with people who have eating disorders and fall back into disordered eating habits because, you know, all I gotta say is treat your body and yourself with kindness this holiday season. And if you want to indulge in foods, allow yourself. The problem with rigid dieting and tracking is that it tends to lead to disordered eating habits. So just know your limits and kind of go from there. I don't know if that was helpful. Maybe it was helpful. Maybe it wasn't. Probably wasn't, to be honest. All right, girl. When it comes to ADHD and autism, and I'm bringing these two together because there are a lot of parallels between the two. There are a few things we've got that are very stressful during the holidays. We're talking about lights. Dude. Lights. Noises. Insanely loud noise. Disrupted routines. Extremely stressful because, if you're the type of person that needs and craves stability and routine in your life, and that gets disrupted, it can throw you off. It can cause a meltdown. Different foods. I saw someone posting, because at least for myself, who's someone who's ADHD, so autistic and ADHD, I have hyperfixation foods. So it's foods that I eat most days, over and over and over again. And I saw someone posting about how cranberry sauce is fucking added to everything now. And basically not having those safe foods and being forced to eat foods that you're not used to or foods that you don't like can be very upsetting for people, especially with autism. If you've got safe foods, like, I don't know if you guys see, if you see like autistic content, but it's always like, you know, like there's this recurring video that people keep making where, oh, you're at a social gathering, how can you tell who's autistic? And it's like everybody's eating the same meal, and then there's someone in the corner who's eating fucking dino chicken nuggets. Safe foods, baby girl. If you're going to be in a position where you know your triggers, you know things that are going to set you off, for example, lights, noises, foods, then do things that you can do within your power to reduce that overstimulation. So for me, food isn't something that I'm super worried about. I'm ready to indulge in different food. that's okay for me personally. I have something in place because I do have plans for Christmas Eve and Christmas dinner where I'm going to a place where I don't know pretty much any of the people there. And clothing for me is a big thing. I get super overstimulated by clothing, specifically wearing bras. So basically, I spoke with my friend who's hosting me for Christmas Eve and Christmas dinner, and I asked her, I was like, listen, what's the expectation for clothing here, girly pop? She was like, you can wear whatever you want. I was like, amazing. I'm going to do a cute makeup moment, but I'm probably going to wear a sweatsuit because I'm going to be eating like a motherfucker. I'm probably going to be consuming gluten, which means I'm going to blow up like a balloon, and I just want to be comfy. And when I'm in a position where I'm meeting all these new people, it's a new environment, there's lots of noise, and it's just very chaotic, and I'm going into something that's extremely unexpected, I want to try to reduce other kinds of overstimulation so that I can navigate it. That being said, her and her family know that I'm autistic and that I'm very mentally ill, but autism presents its own set of challenges when it comes to the holiday season, things that I just described. So she knows that if I'm in a position where I'm feeling overstimulated, I'm just going to tell her and then I'm going to excuse myself. Whether that's having to go to another room to calm down, or if I need to leave, then I'm going to leave, girl. Like, the thing is that I think a lot of us have this tendency to do things in order to make people feel comfortable. And especially when it comes to family members and friendships over the holiday season, right? We want to do our best to serve others and make other people happy. And for some people, that means just our presence and being there, like presence as in we are here, not presence as in physical gifts. I think you need to do things that serve you. You need to be a little bit more selfish, girly pop, when it comes to what makes you comfortable. Another thing too is clothing, like being expected to wear a fancy outfit when that's not something that you feel comfortable in. I think when it comes to navigating something like that is, if you're in a position where you have to wear clothes that you're not used to wearing, try to find something that works good for you. So something that is comfortable, but maybe fits the occasion. And if you're in a position where you're just like, no, I can't handle it, then don't go. Don't go. You don't owe anybody your presence. You don't have to fucking be there. If it's a Christmas party, like a work party or a party with friends or a party with family, you're allowed to say no. You are. And like, I know that it feels like we're not allowed to, but like, you don't have to go to shit. If you're not feeling it, if it's something that makes you uncomfortable, then don't go. And if you do go and you have the tendency to feel overstimulated, or there's something happening where you're being triggered, whether it's by an eating disorder or you're overstimulated because of the autism or the ADHD, or, you know, you're being confronted with a family member who's caused you trauma, you're allowed to leave. You're allowed to distance yourself. You're allowed to put down boundaries with people. You're allowed to put down boundaries with yourself. And whatever that looks like for you is whatever that looks like for you. But like, get used to saying no to things that you don't want to do, because it's just not going to serve you. And if you do things that do make you feel uncomfortable, or you are overstimulated, then allow yourself some recovery time. That for me is so important. If I am doing something, for example, during the Christmas season, I already find grocery shopping to be extremely challenging. Grocery shopping or going to shopping centers. So I tend to, and this is my suggestion to you, if you have the ability to go during a time where it's less busy, for example, during the week, during 9 to 5 work hours, then go then. If you don't have the ability to, but you do have the financial means to order groceries, that being said, it's fucking expensive to order groceries. So that's why I say have the financial means, because groceries are already expensive as a whole. A great alternative is to just order stuff online for it to be delivered to you, but it's very expensive. So if you have the financial means, phenomenal. If you don't, maybe reach out to family, friends, see if they can go grocery shopping for you. Or what I'm doing specifically is going at a time that's less busy and trying to get everything for the next couple weeks at one time, so that I don't have to go back and I don't have to deal with it, because it's not just the standard overstimulation where it's like lights, noises, people touching, brushing past you. But it's like, there's also fucking haunting Christmas music playing on the goddamn intercom. And I'm just not with it, dude. I don't want to be hearing haunting Christmas music and having like 3 times the number of people passing by me, touching me, seeing people that I may know, having a strike up conversation with strangers, small talk. I'm just not into it. It's just not the vibe. So do what you can to protect your peace this holiday season, girly pop. That's all I gotta say. Protect your peace. All right, let's talk about some anxiety when it comes to seeing people that you don't have the best relationship with. Family members have the tendency to cause trauma to you. And there are some people who feel as though they have to go to family gatherings and family events. I don't have that, I guess, obligation. So I think how I would deal with it is a little bit different than how other people would deal with it. But I think there is value to being open, honest, and communicative about where you're at with people. For me, I have the tendency now, especially because I have learned that I'm autistic and I've been learning to unmask, I just want to be honest with people about where I'm at. And I have the tendency, because I'm anxious, to over communicate. And I do that within every facet of my life. It's kind of horrendous. That being said, you don't owe people shit. But if you want to be in a position where you're not super anxious and overthinking things because you're worried that there was miscommunication, you have the ability to communicate your wants and your needs with people, and place boundaries. Boundaries are not always taken correctly, though. That being said, and I think that when you try to place a boundary with someone, whether it's a family member, a close friend, a partner, and it's not taken well, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, because it shows you if you should continue to align yourself with someone who's not respecting your boundaries. Because if there is a lack of respect within a relationship, is that something that you necessarily really want to keep pursuing? Probably not. I mean, respect is very base and it's kind of like fundamental when it comes to relationships, whether those are platonic or romantic. So if you're lacking fundamental respect, it should tell you a lot. All right, we're going to go into a big one, something that has the tendency to affect me every single holiday. And how I'm going about it this year. We're going about it a little bit differently. So, depression during the holiday season. It is a beast. And it can, even when you're in a room full of people, it can lead you feeling isolated. And a lot of people don't really understand depression. When you're mentally ill and you have mental health issues, like myself, your brain is just wired differently. And you don't even have to have something that's necessarily going super wrong for you to feel very suicidal or extremely, extremely sad. It's just, at the end of the day, your brain works differently, and some people just don't get that. And it's hard explaining things to people who not just don't get it, but there are some people who are unwilling to listen, unwilling to learn, who are ill-informed, who are uneducated, who are not willing to do the work and put in the research to kind of like understand you. And that can be extremely frustrating. Navigating the holidays alone, though, is something that has always been very challenging for me in my life, especially since my mom moved to South America. So usually when I do holidays, it was just with her, and that was great. I would still feel a little bit of sadness, but it's very different now. And this is the first year that I have a friend who's actually asked me to hang out with her and her family. That did happen to me when I was living in Mexico. I did spend Christmas with my friend, but last year I did spend Christmas completely alone. And instead of thinking about it as a curse, I thought about it as a blessing. Again, easier said than done. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, if you're upset and you're spending the holidays alone, to just think of it as a blessing, because it might not be a fucking blessing for you. It might be the worst thing ever. And for me, most of the time, it is the worst thing ever. But it's about finding ways to make the holidays magical for you. Because at the end of the day, when you're presented with different people, different relationships, different scenarios, different settings, you can't really control the outcome there. You don't really know what's going to happen if you go for a family dinner or if you go for a dinner with friends. You can't really predict the outcome of that. The phenomenal thing about spending the holidays alone is you can control every aspect of how that day or how those few days or how that week or however long, whatever it is, you can control exactly how that goes. So for me last year, what I did and how that looked for me is I went, and luckily I had a job at the time, so I had the financial means to be able to do this, but I went and I got myself stuff for a charcuterie board and I just ate like a demon. I went and trained and then I ate and I spent time watching Christmas holiday specials by myself. And although it was sad, it was also very magical because no one was telling me what I could and couldn't do. I had no timelines. No one was forcing me into situations where I felt uncomfortable. It was all within my control. I do want to say, the grass is always greener, dude. There's always going to be a scenario where you think that someone is better off, and there's always going to be someone who's better off and worse off than you are. So just be mindful of the fact that, and this is something that I'm telling myself as well, because I spent a lot of time last year being very frustrated and feeling very extreme sadness that I didn't have a family to spend time with. But just because other people have families to spend time with does not mean it's going well. There are issues within all family dynamics, and sometimes those issues can be very severe trauma or just kind of like regular standard bickering, but you don't really understand and know what other people are going through. And we are constantly filled with this Instagram, TikTok, highlight of all these phenomenal things and cute holiday photos with perfect makeup and perfect filters and perfect families and everybody's happy. That's not real life, dude. A lot of people, unfortunately, that's what social media is. It's a highlight reel, right? You're posting things that make yourself look good and make people think that your life is fucking way better than it is. But like, people struggle, and it's not everybody's duty on social media to post their lows because it's an extremely vulnerable thing to do. So just realize that you might see people that are like, quote unquote, thriving, throughout the holidays. But just know that not everybody's entire life is posted online. And even if someone were to live stream their entire fucking life, you wouldn't really know what's going on inside their heads. So just have compassion, realize that everybody's on their own journey when it comes to the holidays. And it's just hard. Like, give yourself kindness, extend yourself the same kindness that you would extend to other people. Be kind, be patient, be understanding, because everybody struggles during the holidays. It is what it is. It's supposed to be a time of love and celebration and kindness, compassion and caring, but it's rarely like that. And I'm not talking about like people who are just like mentally ill. I'm talking about everybody. It is a stressful time. It's a time when you're spending a lot of money that you don't have, buying things for people who don't need those things. And another suggestion is don't put yourself in debt just to be able to afford presents. Like, it's really not that deep. Honestly, I think that there's something to be said for laying down boundaries when it comes to spending money. And whether that's kind of like placing a certain amount of money to spend on a gift, or buying less gifts, or buying no fucking gifts at all, there's something to be said for laying down boundaries when it comes to gift giving and how much money you're spending, because no one wants to go broke just to give stupid fucking gifts that no one is going to care about, that's going to put it back in the back of their closet. And another thing too is, if you're a parent and you're listening to this, don't put yourself in debt to buy stuff for your kids. I'm not saying, like, again, I'm not a parent, dude. So like, I can't speak to what it's like to be a parent, but I think there is a lot of value in being open and honest about what your capabilities are, and placing boundaries, and whether that's boundaries with people you're in relationships with that are platonic or romantic, or if it's placing boundaries with your kids and helping them understand. And I'm not saying lay your money problems down on your kids, because that's not appropriate, but putting them in a position where they're able to understand that within separate households, some people have the ability and the financial means to be able to buy more, and some people have the financial means to be able to buy less. I remember one year for my birthday, my mom got this ring for me, 2 rings from AliExpress, and they were these like silver gold, there were these silver snake rings. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is like the coolest gift I've ever gotten. It's my favorite gift. I still have the rings till this day. And my mom was struggling financially that year. And these rings were like $5 or $6 from AliExpress. Fucking best gifts I've ever gotten. The coolest gifts that I valued so much. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, in order for you to give something that is really meaningful and special to someone, it doesn't have to be you spending a shitload of money. You can also make gifts, you can bake things, and you can also put a boundary down where you say, this is not going to serve me, so I'm not going to do it. Again, easier said than done, but it's going to reveal to you what relationships are worth pursuing and maintaining if you place a boundary and it's just not taken well. This episode has been extremely chaotic. Are we surprised by this? Absolutely not. I am extremely ADHD. It was all over the place. I'm hoping that you guys found something valuable from this. But at the end of the day, it's a holiday season. It's extremely stressful. Everybody's stressed. So do things that you can to lower your stress levels. And I think the key to that is identifying triggers and then putting kind of safeguards in place so that you don't end up in a position where you're killing yourself because you're overstimulated. You're surrounded by people who have caused you trauma. You're trying to buy gifts that you literally cannot afford when raspberries are $6.99 a pint. Make it make sense. So just do things that you can that make yourself feel good. It is the holidays, and this is your time to be selfish. Yes, it's the season of giving, but it's also the season of giving to yourself and showing yourself love. However that looks for you, whether it's placing boundaries, buying yourself a cute little gift, getting a little tasty treat, or spending time alone. That was it, y'all. This is the 6th episode of 10 Years in Bed. If you got something from this episode, phenomenal. If you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you could hook me up with a 5-star rating, baby girl, that would be so slay. If you don't think I deserved a 5-star rating, then don't give me a 5-star rating, girl. I'm not in charge of you. You are the person who is in charge of you. If you have any constructive criticism or feedback, I would love to hear it. If you're listening on YouTube, smash that fucking like button, smash that subscribe button, comment below, let me know what you hated, what you liked. If you would like to get in contact with me, you can hit me up on Autism Pump, YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. Send me a DM. I'm usually relatively responsive. And at the end of the day, happy holidays, y'all. I am sending all of you love. It is a challenging time this season. And just be kind to yourselves. Bye, y'all.